We are here to celebrate the completion of a major project for our city. The streetscape work that was done here on Sherman Avenue. You know, and as a native Washingtonian, I happen to have an enormous appreciation for what was done here. And Jim, I want to thank you for your commitment to, efforts in, helping to make this happen. We were able to do this with arrow money. Everybody knows what arrow money is, I'm sure. That is, those are stimulus dollars. And I want to again congratulate DDOT for the work that they did to make this happen. DDOT has multiple projects going on all the time, and they have to be able to rely upon the cooperation of so many other people in order to get these things done. And this is yet another example of that. I want to thank the community also, and I especially want to thank the Pleasant Plains Civic Association for their work, their patience in helping get to this. We had delays because of weather. We had delays because of utilities work that had to be coordinated with this. So Darren, I want to thank you for the work of you and your colleagues to be able to help us work together to get to where we are today. You're very welcome. We want to hear from you shortly. Reality is, and you know, I live on a street that was like this also, Branch Avenue, and we did something very similar on Branch Avenue a number of years ago, and that was to reduce the width of the street. It never was 2 lanes on both sides, but it reduced it down to 1 lane, and then here we widened the sidewalks also, which frankly have the effect of creating much more of a neighborhood feel for Sherman Avenue, and that's what we were trying to do. Unfortunately, there were those many years ago, I think before we had home rule, Jim, whose vision for the city was a pass-through from one state to another. And unfortunately, Sherman Avenue was one of those. And so the work we have done has made this less of a commuter throughway and much more of a neighborhood throughway at this stage. What we've done is improve safety and security for people and accessibility for people who live in the community especially. As indicated, we widened the sidewalks, we got the bulb outs that you see down the street, and of course we have ADA compliant ramps which continue to increase our compliance with ensuring that those who have physical challenges are able to access the city just like anybody else. Also, we've done some things for our bicyclists who will be able to travel up and down here because of the markings that have been a part of this project. And those of you who don't know, we have a commitment, Tom, we have a commitment to have 100 miles of bicycle lanes. We are at about 58 now, and we're working to become the most bicycle-friendly place in the nation. Part of our Sustainable DC plan. And how about the medians? They look fantastic, and if anything gives a feel of a neighborhood to Sherman Avenue, then it is the medians with the green investments that we are making there. Also, frankly, this will help with our stormwater runoff. Stormwater runoff is one of the biggest reasons why we have the pollution of our waterways, like the Anacostia, like the Potomac. And being able to retain that water as the greenery does, the shrubbery does, helps with, obviously, with stormwater runoff and keeping the pollutants out of our rivers. And then, of course, pedestrian safety. That will be markedly facilitated by the work that is being done here. So, Jim, Ward 1 looks markedly better as a result of this, right? And we're going to continue to do this kind of thing. I'm delighted to be joined today by Councilmember Jim Graham, and I'm going to ask him if he would come up now and speak a little bit about his views of the work that's been done here by DDOT, by the administration, working with the council, working with the council members. So please join me in welcoming Councilmember Jim Graham.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And once again, you have demonstrated amply that you care about our neighborhoods, you care about the safety of our neighborhoods, you care about how the neighborhoods look and quality of life. And I want to ask everybody to acknowledge you and all of your splendid efforts.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome to Sherman Avenue, which, you know, Ward 1 is kind of a small, concentrated ward, but Sherman Avenue is one, if not the only one, major street that begins and ends in Ward 1. So if you see a Sherman Avenue address, you know you're in Ward 1. And the evidence of progress on Sherman Avenue is very considerable. And when I was chairman of the Transportation Committee at the council, thank you, Mayor Gray, for appointing me to that, back in whatever year it was. You know, I saw that we were doing streetscapes in Adams Morgan. We had streetscapes on the table for U Street. We had a streetscape for Georgia Avenue, most of Lower Georgia Avenue. And I thought there's something missing here. There's a roadway that isn't being covered with a streetscape, and of course that's Sherman. And I worked with the Department of Transportation and with my colleagues at the council to ensure that this was scheduled for a streetscape. And so I'm very, very pleased to see this result. The Sherman Avenue has great things in the future as well as great things in the present. For some reason, we're calling it 965 Florida. But this major parcel that is about to be awarded, I think, for Lower Sherman Avenue, which is 65,000 square feet of ground, which will help with the transformation of this area of Ward 1, is just down the street. And if you drive down Sherman, you not only see this beautiful roadway, but you also see all of the improvements as you go down the street. And I want to acknowledge the very important role that's played by the community. Darren Jones was born in this neighborhood. He's lived in this neighborhood all of his 35 years. His mother lives in the neighborhood. I mean, and he's president of the Pleasant Plains Civic Association. So, Darren, thank you very much for everything you bring. The Advisory Neighborhood Commission needs to be acknowledged as well. But I think that one thing that I want to say in closing is thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the pavement. Because if you drove down Sherman Avenue,
Oh, yes.
prior to this streetscape,
Oh, yes.
you know, it was a little bit reminiscent at points of Waterloo. And we didn't want that. And so just the very fact that we have a good pavement, but we haven't created a speedway for Maryland commuters either. What we have done is we have ensured pedestrian safety. The medians and the bump outs and everything else contribute to that. So we have a good road, which is for use by all, but it's also for safe road and safe passage. So I thank you. This is a great achievement, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good, Jim.
Oh, and can I just say one other thing?
Absolutely.
I got to say Terry Bellamy's name because this man, I'm crazy about this guy, and we've worked so closely together. Thank you very much, Director Bellamy.
All right. Well, I mentioned Darren Jones earlier and the Pleasant Plains Civic Association, which is one of the very active civic associations here in our city. And I'm glad that Darren could join us today. I was just kidding him about high schools. He went to Cardozo High School. I went to Dunbar High School. They were arch rivals. So as soon as this press briefing is over, it's on. Please join me in welcoming Darren Jones.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On behalf of the community, myself, the ANCs, people like PJ Green Young, we want to thank the mayor and his team for redeveloping Sherman Avenue. He had Cedric Muhammad, who is an ANC in this area, to come out to many of our meetings and help us. We want to thank DDOT, Mr. Bellamy, and especially Alberta Paul, who came to many of our meetings and kept things on target. We want to thank the general contractor and Andrea Frazier, who is in the back. Andrea got many, many, many emails and came to many meetings, and we're hoping that she will continue to work with the community when you redevelop Lower Georgia Avenue. And we want to especially thank Councilman Graham. Without his leadership and support, this would not have been done. If you look around, you'll see new development coming to Sherman Avenue. This new development has started because the avenue has been redeveloped, and it looks good, it feels good. I've lived in this neighborhood my entire life, and everybody is so pleased to have a new redeveloped Sherman Avenue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Darren.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Darren, and frankly, being able to work directly with people like yourself who are longtime residents and committed in this way to the city is what continues to make our city greater, even greater than what it has been. And frankly, you're absolutely right. Being able to do these streetscapes are a great catalyst for other kinds of development in our communities. We're seeing it everywhere it happens across the city. So it is a wonderful investment. You know, I was at the U.S. Conference of Mayors meeting recently. For those of you who don't know, Terry Bellamy originally hails from North Carolina. And so I picked up this document and was reading it, and there was mention of Asheville, North Carolina. And the mayor of Asheville, North Carolina is Terry Bellamy. I said, wait a minute, did I miss something? Did he leave and go run for office and was successful? And I came back, I said, Terry, what is that? And he then advised me that this was a person with the same name, but a woman. Is that right, Terry? Correct. Same person with the same name as him, and that he often gets emails about her and her political successes in Asheville, North Carolina. But we're delighted that this Terry Bellamy is still working with us assiduously here in the District of Columbia and really doing a fantastic job of running the Department of Transportation here in the District of Columbia. Join me in welcoming Terry Bellamy.
First of all, let me say good morning, and I'm excited to be here to celebrate the completion of this project. I'd like to start off by thanking Mayor Gray. Without the leadership and vision that he has provided, these types of projects do not happen. I also want to thank Councilmember Graham, Mr. Jones, and the residents for taking the patience with us during this project. And your support is shown here today by having this celebration. With a sad note, I must start off is that Wendy Peckham started off as the project manager on this project, and she's gravely ill. And so I know a lot of you want to know what happened to her, but Richard Kinney stepped in and carried this project to the end. So I want to acknowledge Wendy in her absence, and I will let her know today that everything is okay, but I want to acknowledge Richard Kinney for his role in this project. I also want to acknowledge Nick Nicholson, who's attending another meeting for me this morning, and James Sellers, who was on this project throughout the entire time. You talked about Ms. Frazier with Legion Design, which is a local firm, who handled the construction management on this project, did an outstanding job, and Civil Construction was the contractor. Without these players, we would not have been able to complete this project. This project took longer than we expected, cost about $13 million, and I want to thank Secretary LaHood and President Obama because this was a stimulus project, and that made this project able to go a lot faster than we had it in our schedule. With the new roadways, wider sidewalks, bike sharrows, green median, this helped rejuvenate the Sherman Avenue corridor and turn it into a centerpiece of the community. We'll be working with the Civic Association as we maintain these green spaces throughout Sherman Avenue. One of the key to having a successful project is maintaining it at the end of the project. And we look forward with working with Park and Rec, the Department of General Service, and the community to keep the green space green during the life of this project. Again, I want to thank everyone for our patience. And again, every project, there's always another project. And when I walked up, he asked me a question about Lower Georgia. And I'm proud to announce that we're designing Lower Georgia. We did receive a Tiger grant for the work. And we'll be sending information out as we move forward with that design. Thank you.
You see, the way this really works is he says, ask me the following question so I can answer it when I get to. All right. No, this is a great day. And aren't we glad? I don't know how many times in my life I've been on Sherman Avenue. It's got to be thousands. And I've been on it hundreds of times during the course of this construction and just couldn't wait until it was finished because basically it worked its way up to Park Road. And of course, when you look at it now from Florida Avenue to Park Road, what a phenomenal improvement it is. So it's a great day. I think we're going to have a ribbon cutting and we're going to do it over here, over here,
Can
over
we
here,
ask
over here.
questions first, Mr. Mayor?
Oh yes,
That way
absolutely.
you don't have to
Sure.
regroup.
Absolutely.
I'd like to ask you, I ask Mr. Jones first, the 35-year-old.
Plus about 20 more.
Tell us, for those of you who don't know Sherman Avenue, for your family, your mother, I'm told, still lives here, what was it like when it was a commuter raceway? What was it like before? My editors don't like this question.
Sherman Avenue was a raceway. We have lots of kids moving into the neighborhood. We have the old Bruce School right down the street, and we were always getting emails and telephone calls about parents saying, when are we going to get a traffic light here, and when are we going to get a traffic light there, because the cars were moving so fast. Now that we have one lane in each way, it has slowed the traffic. Also, we had people with handicaps and wheelchairs who could not get up and down the sidewalks because the sidewalks were so narrow and the trees had grown up into the sidewalks. So what happened was the sidewalks have been broadened, and now we have our handicapped residents able to walk up and down the streets and ride up and down the streets on their wheelchairs.
And if I could ask you a follow-up, are you concerned at all that now that you have to line the street, gentrification will be even more aggressive in the neighborhood as people want to move to the neighborhood where you've grown up?
Well, we invite new people to this neighborhood. That's what makes a neighborhood healthy. However, we're hoping that there will be money in the DC budget to help those longtime residents, like my mother who's lived on Hobart Place since 1955, to stay in her house.
Mr. Mayor, you want to address that? The good
Yes,
side is it's a great road and it's less traffic. The bad side is it's more desirable for people.
It is more desirable, and that's what we want to make the city. And I appreciate Darren mentioning money because, as you probably know, Tom, I'm sure you do know, we included, I think it's the largest single item ever in the budget. And I want to thank the council for approving my budget that included $100 million for affordable housing. It sounds like a lot of money, but we probably could spend $500 million if we had it. We're going to be meeting later this month with some folks who are going to help us to try to use that $100 million to leverage additional money in the private sector here in the city. But the purpose is to do just the kind of thing you talked about, Darren, and that is make sure your mom and others have a chance to be able to live in the city. We don't want streetscapes to translate into displacement of people here in the city. And that's specifically why we put the money in for affordable housing, and we want to keep that going in the future years' time.
Mr. Graham, do you comment on this? The good news is it's nice. Maybe the not so good news is that some people will be pushed out because they'll be bought out by people who own their houses.
Well, people are not bought out, people sell. And so, it's very hard to restrict people's ability to sell their greatest asset and the one great investment they may have made in their life. But we have worked hard, and I would add to the mayor, not only the $100 million in Housing Production Trust Fund money, but also we've increased emergency rent assistance, we've increased rapid rehousing. I mean, we've done a lot to address those who are very low income. We want to, Ward 1 diversity is our greatest treasure, and we want to keep it.
All right, why don't we move to the ribbon cutting up?
5, 4,